Welcome to Doing Business in France, presented by Latoya Robinson, Sean Witham, Nicholas Valadine, and Tyson Glitz. France is a country located in Western Europe and is geographically positioned in the northern as well as the eastern and western hemispheres, with a total land area of 643,801 square kilometers. France is mostly comprised of flat plains or gently rolling hills in the north and west, and it is mountainous in the south and the east. Now I will discuss the political system in France. The political system in France is made up of a semi-presidential system determined by the French Constitution of the Fifth Republic. The political system of France consists of an executive branch, a legislative branch, and a judicial branch. The executive power is exercised by the President of the Republic and the government. The current President of France is Francois Hollande, who has been in office since May 15, 2012. The President of France appoints the Prime Minister, who is currently Bernard Cazeneuve. He was recently appointed on December 6, 2016. He was preceded by Manuel Valls, who is running for the France presidential election in 2017. Under the current constitution, the president is elected for 5-year terms and can only serve 2 presidential terms. Now moving into the political freedom of France. France is a free country. Based on the Freedom House data, which measures the levels of freedom of speech, religion, and civil rights in a country, their score has remained somewhat constant for the past 10 years. There was a slight drop in 2016. Same is true for the United States. As for the political stability, the current president, Francois Hollande, in 2012 created a stimulus package that was poured into the French economy with the intent to help increase productivity and enhance the economic growth, but all have yielded very low outputs. Since 2010, the Political Stability Index has been declining. Now, let's look at political corruption. Political corruption is measured from 0 to 100, with 0 representing highly corrupt. France has a score of 70 and ranks 23 out of 168 nations as being the least corrupt, while the United States ranks 16th with a score of 76. As for the rule of law, the principle of the rule of law is that legal principles should guide the behavior and administration of justice in any given sovereign country. It establishes guidelines for the maintenance of law and order instead of arbitrary dispensing of justice in a nation. The rule of law that France is based on is the French Constitution, while the United States follows the United States Constitution. Based on the rule of law measures, the United States has a stronger rule of law than France. France's economy is the 5th largest in the world and represents 1/5 of the euro area's GDP. Therefore, France's GDP growth data is followed closely in the market. Prior to 2008, the GDP growth rate in France was about 2% on average per year. In 2009, it only grew about 2.9%. Since 2009, the economy has become stagnant, with the largest growth rate being 0.8%. As for the U.S. economy, the growth rate was 3.1% in 2015. Human Development Index is a measure of the quality of human life in different nations. It is broken down by 3 measures: life expectancy, educational attainment, and whether average incomes are sufficient to meet the basic needs of life in that country. As of 2015, France had an HDI measure of 0.88, meaning that they are high on the human development scale. Among all of the nations of the world, France ranks 22, while the United States ranks number 8 with a measure of 0.915. Foreign direct investment is a direct investment in business operations in a foreign country. Its value is based on the total cumulative value of a nation's foreign investments. Foreign direct investments in France are reported by the Bank of France and is done so on a monthly basis. In comparing the foreign direct investments, the United States received the most in the world and France ranks number 8. France uses the euro as its form of currency, which replaced the franc in 1999. The euro is the common currency for 17 of the 27 members of the European Union. Shortly after the euro was first released in January of 1999, the US dollar appreciated in value, meaning that the US dollar was stronger than the euro. However, since November 2002, the euro became stronger and has consistently been stronger than the US dollar. This characteristic would give U.S. companies pause for investing directly in the French economy. As of October 6, 2016, the euro is valued at $1.11, meaning that 1 euro can buy $1.11 worth of U.S. currency. In looking at the economic stability of France, I will review the gross expenditures per percent of GDP. GDP is a sum of household consumption expenditures, general government expenditures, and gross capita. The gross expenditure has fluctuated for both the U.S. and France over the past 10 years. Now let's look at the trade balance, which is defined as exports and imports. Both France and the United States both have a negative balance, which means they are bringing in more goods than they can export. France has a population of 66,836,146. The population growth rate is 0.4%. The total median age range is 41.2 years, with the range for males being 39.5 years and 42.9 for females. The life expectancy at birth in France is 82.5 years. In France, the main language spoken is French. France has a variety of ethnic groups residing there, which are Slavic, Northern Americans, Indo-Chinese, Celtic, and Latin with Teutonic, as well as Basque minorities.
1972, prohibiting authorities from collecting data on the ethnicity and religious beliefs of individuals. The data on religion in France is unclear. However, it is estimated that around 65% of the population is Christian, with the majority being Roman Catholic. The French educational philosophy emphasizes authority of the teacher, individual competition, including an absolute grading system, stresses on analytical thought and rote learning as opposed to creativity, and touts high academic standards. In 2014, BBC.com ranked France as the 23rd best education based on math and science scores from 15 years old. Looking at Championnar's cultural data comparing the US and France, there can be seen a stark difference in the achieved versus ascribed column. This shows that success is earned more in the US based on performance rather than based on demographics, like in France. Another major difference, this time shown by Hofstede's culture data, is the uncertainty avoidance category. France's high score shows a great need for structure without any ambiguity, opposite to the American mindset. The French pride themselves on their contribution to the technological world over the years, mainly in that of high-speed transportation systems. And while the research and development percentages aren't as high as the US, they show a steady trend upward over the past decade, and I'd expect that number to continue to keep rising. France currently ranks in the top 10 for their overall environmental protection score, and as shown in the data, are continuing to increase their scores as the years pass by. Their best ranked factor is 10th, which is for biodiversity and habitat. that the US ranks 90th in, and their lowest current rank is air quality, which is currently 84th with a score of 82.43 out of 100. France is under a civil law system, unlike the United States, which is under a common law system. France has a dual legal system. The joint public or public law defines the principles of operation of the state and public bodies. This law is applied generally through public law courts known as les tribunaux administratifs. The droit privé or private law applies to private individuals or bodies. France only produces about 2/5 of the patents per year compared to the US, but has shown steady growth over the years, and as their investments into R&D continue to increase, so will the amount of patents filed for. France currently has a 19th ranked property rights index and has shown great growth over the past decade. They do currently rank ahead of the US in protection of intellectual property, but the US ranks first in every other property rights category. Here's a quick look at the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats posed in France.